opens up the box and plays the game. He never reads instructions cause they're lame. He's Bowser. Oh, he plays the game so badly. His eyes are twitching madly. He's here again so sadly. He's Bowser. Oh.
Hello, welcome back. Right, as promised, here is the video of Bruce Lee from 1984 on 4 different systems: the Amstrad CPC 464, the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum and BBC Micro. Now, I am aware that it came out on other systems as well, but not sure which particular ones. Maybe the Atari 8-bit computers, not too sure. Yeah, this is something that I've wanted to do for a while. Now that I've finally got the DDI3 for the Amstrad, means that with the other solutions that I have for the other machines, that I can finally sort of get around and do this, which is something I'm really happy about. Now, I know this is not new. Other people have been doing these cross-format reviews of games for ages, far longer than I have, and better than I'll ever be able to do them. But it's just something that interested me, and I've fancied having a go at. Now, there's going to be more games coming up. There's going to be Commando. There is going to be Uridium. There is going to be the Barbarian games, because quite surprisingly, those games came out on the BBC Micro as well. I'm also going to be taking a look at the output of Ultimate Play the Game on the BBC Micro as well, because I was quite surprised to see that there's actually quite a large number of Ultimate games on that computer. And it's just for the purposes of showing you what they were like and what was available to people back in the day. Certainly far more for that machine than I ever actually realised. But hey ho, those are things that are coming. If there's any more suggestions that people have for multi sort of format games to try out, then please let me know, because it's something that I'm really interested to do. There's also going to be standalone videos. I'm not abandoning the ZX Spectrum at all. I hope you don't think that. But yeah, this is just something that's become sort of fun to do. Just give us a shout. Okay, the running order of this is going to be the Amstrad first, then we're going to go to the Spectrum, then we're going to go to the Commodore 64, and we're going to finish off with the BBC Micro. And at the end of the video, I would, or throughout the video, if you've got any sort of observations and comments, then please leave them in the comments box down below, because that's what it's all about, generating discussion, particularly with sharing memories, and also your thoughts on how it compares with the version, each version compares with the version of the game that you're familiar with. I'm just interested in your thoughts on that. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Okay, right, here we are at the Amstrad CPC 464 version of Bruce Lee. Now, I already showed you this a little bit in the previous video when I reviewed the actual DDI3 thingamajig. Right, okay, controls are A, Z, up and down, left, right arrows, left and right, and space to punch or kick. So let's get into this. Enter to begin game. I'm obviously one player, Billy no mates, can't play it 2 players. Now, as I said in the previous video, I'm a big fan of the Bruce Lee game, and I hadn't played the Amstrad version before getting the DDI3, but obviously I have now. My nostalgia bias is heavily pointed towards the Spectrum version, but I'm being kicked into a corner and battered here. But the Amstrad version is really nice and playable as well. Oh dear, right. As you can see, my muscle memory from back in the day has deserted me. I used to be able to complete this on the Spectrum. I've never got anywhere near that nowadays. Right, so this is just to sort of show the similarities and differences between the versions. Very colourful graphics, bit chunky, but you know, you can see what's going on. Hopefully you can see sort of everything there. It does the job that it's supposed to do, or they do the job that they're supposed to do. Come on, up we go, Bruce. There we go. Oh. So yeah, one of the classic, iconic games. Now I was really surprised to see this on the this got a release on the BBC Micro as well, and I've only played it fleetingly so far, but you will be surprised at that version of the game. Whether or not that's a good surprise, you'll have to sort of wait and see and find out. But yeah, Amstrad Bruce Lee plays really, really, really well. It's a very, very good version of the game. Ah, come on, die, you big green bugger. Right, so obviously they both regenerate after time. Oh, and here we go. Here comes Yamo again. Right, so I'm deed. Ow! So now I go back to the previous screen and a portal will have opened. There we go, down at the bottom. That hole is now open. And we can go down here. Right, so yeah, just a very quick playthrough of the Amstrad version of Bruce Lee. Really, really fun game. Going to move on now to the Spectrum version. Oh, yeah, probably best I do, because I've just got Bruce electricity-fied. Right, see you in a sec. Hello, welcome back. Right, now, at the Spectrum version of Bruce Lee, this was coded by Ocean. Controls Q, A, O, P and Z to M for kick or punch. Right, let's get into this. This is the version of it that my nostalgia bias loves the most, because it's the game that I played the most. And oh, there was I using space to punch. And although, you know, markedly different colour-wise from the Amstrad version, you can tell they're exactly the same game. The Ninja and Yamo seem to take less hits in this one to actually get rid of the buggers, which is quite good. The game is so much fun. Like I said, I mean, this is just intended to sort of like give you a sort of look at how, although the game was much the same on both systems, much the same on most systems, there were differences, etc. And the Spectrum, you can see it's the lack of colour. The Amstrad version was nice and colourful. You'll see the Commodore 64 version in a minute. And the BBC Micro version, well, you'll just have to wait and see when we get to that one. But exactly the same thing. You've got to collect all the lanterns, avoid Yamo and Ninja, trying to get them to fight each other. Now, look, as you see, it only takes 3 hits to get rid of them. On the Amstrad version, it took 5, I think, for Yamo. Oh dear, there we go. Get out of it. Oh dear, I've lost a life. It's handy, I need to go this way anyway, so I've opened up this underground thing. Now, sound-wise, it's just very sort of basic, as you can sort of hear. There's not an awful lot going on. Never received an enhanced sort of 128 version, I don't believe. Oh, I've knackered this up, haven't I? Yeah, I've missed one. Oh, I'm going to have to commit Harry Carry. No, I can't. You see, on the Amstrad version, those two sort of things were much lower down and you could kill yourself on them. But now I've missed 2 and I don't know what that's going to do for me. How that's going to affect me. Oh. Great game though, great game. Like I said before on the DDI3 review for the Amstrad version, I think it's renowned for being a bit overly easy, but it's still a great game. And yeah, despite the graphics being much less colourful, you sort of, as a Spectrum owner, you came to accept that and had no problem with it. In fact, though, as people got used to coding for the Spectrum, there were some very colourful games released for it. Oh dear, blow myself up. Anyway, yeah, Bruce Lee on the Spectrum. Hopefully you like that. If not, you know, it's not a lot I can do about it. Oh dear, he's going to die. Right, let's move on and show you it on the Commodore 64. Hello, right, we're back at Bruce Lee. This is the Commodore 64 version. So it says F7 to start game, and I'm player 1. Now you'll notice that it's a little bit less colourful than the Amstrad version, obviously more colourful than the Spectrum version, and the graphics are slightly blockier, but it's still a really good game. There's a lot more going on in the way of sound effects by the sound of things. If I just turn the TV up a bit, you might be able to hear that a bit more. We've got a nice sort of like running sound as Bruce sort of runs along, and it's really, really nice. Although it's not as nice graphically as either the Spectrum or Amstrad versions, like I said, it's a little bit blockier and a little bit more sort of washed out looking. It's still really, really, really nice, and that's just really sort of nitpicking, if I'm being sort of totally honest. That's just saying something for the sake of saying something. The actual game, oh my god, plays really well, as it should, and it's no less, I don't think, it's no less fun than, oh dear, I appear to be dead. Right, so yeah, it appears to be no less fun than the Spectrum and Amstrad versions. Now, again, if you are a Commodore 64 owner, or you were back in the day, please share your thoughts on this game, whether it was one that you loved or loathed, and how often you played it, etc. See, a good game is a good game, isn't it? It doesn't matter what it looks like. If it plays well, then you know, people aren't going to be really that worried about you know, fancy graphics and bells and whistles and stuff. And certainly nowadays, where an Xbox One game will look exactly the same as a PlayStation, and the only reason you'd be able to tell the difference is if you were an expert on, you know, polygons or whatever they're called. Back in the day, you know, there were marked differences between games, and that's one of the fun bits about owning sort of multiple systems, is that you can check what the similarities and differences are, and whether or not they are sort of game breakers, or whether or not they enhance anything. Now, like I say, the graphics on the Spectrum version are really, really smooth. They're nice and colourful on the Amstrad. They're not as colourful on the Commodore 64. Whoops, a daisy. They're not as colourful on the Commodore 64 as they are on the other two versions, and they are a little bit washed out and slightly more blockier, but the gameplay is still top notch, I think, anyway. Oh, that's not good. It's only gone and done crashed on me. What a bummer. Right, well, that was Bruce Lee on the Commodore 64. I hope to show you a little bit more of that. I had been playing it practice for about 15 minutes or so, and wanted to show you slightly more of what it was like on the Commodore 64 than that, but it's just gone and done that on me. I really, really do apologise. Let's move on then to the BBC Micro version. Okay, here we are, the final version that I have, Bruce Lee on the BBC Micro. This is written by D. Cowham. So, escape to start, I've redefined my keys, Q, A, O, P, space, and Z for thingamajig, duck. Quite a nice loading screen there, so press a key to load. And here we go. Now you can already see there are some differences, shall we say, between versions on this one. You can see Bruce looks like he's badly sunburnt, and Green Yamo is not a great big fat green bastard anymore. He's kind of like a skinny punk alien baby in a nappy. And there is no ninja, which is a shame. But it runs nicely enough. In fact, it runs, I think, quicker than the other versions. Not sort of massively so, I don't think, but there's a definite sort of zip to this version of Bruce Lee. Graphically, it's, you know, like I say, it's quite sort of blocky, and there isn't much in the way of sound. But other than sort of like his footsteps there. But the important point is it Bruce Lee? Well, minus the Yamo, sorry, minus the ninja, yeah, it still is. Oh, that's me dead. Right, so got to go. Oh, I shouldn't have jumped down there. That's it, right. Yeah, it's strange. The graphical style is obviously a hell of a lot blockier. But like I said, it actually moves along at quite a sort of wallop, which, you know, is... I never knew this game existed until Vindaloo Retro Gaming, on, I think on his old channel, reviewed it, and that was the first I'd ever sort of seen. Oh, bollocks. That was the first I'd ever seen of the BBC version of it. And I've been meaning to check it out, and sort of glad that I have, because if you're a Bruce Lee fan, yeah, obviously minus the sort of the ninja sort of interaction, then it ain't bad at all, I don't think. Oh, I'm D'd again. Now on the other versions, there's like an electric ray sort of thing to deal with there. Ow! Missed one. Bollocks. But yeah, everything moves quite nicely. I mean, this particular bit on the Spectrum sort of goes really quite sort of slowly, but here on the BBC it really is whizzing along. Oh, you bastard. Ah, missed it. Oh dear. Oh, I've got to start all over again. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly different, but it sort of manages to keep the sort of essence of the game, which is really quite surprising, and, you know, just sort of goes to show that the BBC had an awful lot of games that were very, very playable. And some that weren't, but this is a great effort. I am of course playing it on my actual BBC. And did you, if you're a BBC owner, did you have this back in the day? If so, what did you make of it? Were you jealous of the other sort of systems versions of it? I can't see why you would have been, because it is a very, very decent version of the game, I think. Yeah, I don't think you'd have been disappointed with this at all. Oh, I've gone the wrong way, haven't I? Yes, I wanted to go up there, didn't I? And across to the right. But really, really nice little game. Now, like I said, I'm not too sure what other versions are out there, and whether or not they're any good. If any bad versions of Bruce Lee exist, if you know of any, please let me know what they are and why they're so bad, and if I can, I shall try and take a look at them. But this is just to show you what the game's like, the BBC Micro version. Thank you. Right, okay, now going to do a final sort of talky bit, and then that'll be it. Okay, so there you have it, 4 different versions of Bruce Lee. Now, like I said on the intro, I'm not the first person to have done this, multi-system reviews, etc. And the ones that I've watched have been far better than this. I just wanted to sort of try it out, see how it worked, because it was something I really am interested in, seeing what the differences and similarities are between versions. Now, I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to keep the segments short enough so that the video didn't run on too long, because one of the things I have noticed now that I've started doing multi-system videos is that the length of time they go on for has increased quite significantly, and I don't want to do anything that's you know, going to put people off watching the video, such as Rabbit for hours and hours on end. But I hope you enjoyed that. You know, I won't say that there's a particularly you know, one version is miles and miles and miles ahead of another version there. It's just to show you the differences. My nostalgia bias does favour the Spectrum version heavily, but every single version has got you know, its good points. There wasn't a bad version there. I was really surprised at the BBC Micro version. I thought that was very playable, despite obviously some things being sort of cut down. No Yamo, no Ninja. Some of the backgrounds being even more basic than the other versions, but the game was still identifiably Bruce Lee, and it was really good fun. I'm really sorry the Commodore 64 version crashed. That had never done it to me in the couple of playthroughs that I had before I started recording, and to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to load it again to sort of go again if it was just going to happen again. And the Amstrad version, like I said in the videos that I've done of it, I'd only seen it and experienced it once I got the DDI3 thing for the CPC, and I was really impressed with how sort of colourful it was, how sort of crisp the sort of graphics were, and how well it played. Similarly, the Commodore 64 version looked a little bit more sort of washed out, but played equally as well as any of the other versions. It's a fantastic game. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know. If you like it, please let me know. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. If you do subscribe, please take the time to join in with the discussions, particularly in what you think about the differences and the weaknesses and strengths of each of those versions that I've shown you. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.